All right, so here's kind of what I want to do today. If anyone has any stories or testimonies, always like to open with those, and then we'll just dive straight into questions here. We've got about 30 minutes before our before we have to shut this thing down. So I want to get as many questions answered here as possible. So, man, I've got a text here that I got. Does anybody else have any stories or anything they want to share from this week? Any testimonies or anything?
Yeah.
Aaron, hit us, man. What's up, bro?
Dude, so in the last 2 weeks, we've had 13 commitments to Christ, and 8 of them have been brand new first-time salvations, and all of them have been from the prayer ads.
Bro, come on. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. So it's legit, man.
In the game, man. I love it, bro.
Good job, Aaron. Wait. Help you to do some of the hard work, man. I know you're working hard at it.
Yeah, man. Being faithful, bro. All right, let's do this. There are a couple of mics
I have to mute it.
Got it.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Yeah. So, man, anybody else have any cool stories, testimonies, anything like that from this past week? Aaron Butler's crushing the game on the left coast. I got a text yesterday from a church here. It said yesterday we had they had 3 first-time guests. 2 of them were second-time, or 3 first-time guests, 2 second-time guests, and 3 third-time guests, all from the last 3 weeks. And they had like a big old like snow blizzard. So they said they had 4 more families who were supposed to come in and plan to visit, and actually texted the pastor the morning of, said, hey, it actually they weren't able to make it because of the snow. But the week before that, he texted me and basically said they had we lost the text. Anyway, said they had, I think, 25 new visitors like the first week of the new year and stuff like that, with everything going on. So pretty cool stuff. Always like to start with that. Let's since we've only got about 25 minutes, let's just dive in and kind of answer questions here. So somebody have a question, wants to kick us off here?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a question. I haven't had an opportunity to look through or hear much about the Disney vacation model. I'm just wanting to hear about that and what you guys are doing for that, or how that's working.
Nicoletti, always want to comment on your beard. I love it. You brought and your hat.
And the hat. Come on, brother. I wore the hat for you.
No, and I always feel like I'm fake. Like when I see him, I'm like, that's awesome. That's who I aspire to be.
That's what's up. So it's probably a longer answer that we can cover here, Jeff, but the short version is it's basically the plan your visit model, right? So using Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ministry ads, right? Just a strategic mix of paid social media marketing in order to get people to sign up for a visit, and then kind of what happens. So like that framework that goes, so like we've got, like what the, obviously going everything like through Facebook Messenger, but what a landing page, would look like, or whatever, what your follow-up systems look like, right? The Monday morning selfie videos that you send to all the people. We have a 7-video altar call series that we send at my church, whatever, for every single person that comes through and actually has answers an altar call, right? Whether they're a guest or whether they've been there for 5 years, those types of things. So there's it's a 9-part teaching, whatever. I could always send you some more information on it, but kind of a lot. But it's basically that, right? The idea of this plan your visit framework, where people can schedule their visit in advance, and then basically everything that happens between then, right, from the initial conversation, whether it's a phone call or text message, within 15 minutes of them signing up for plan your visit, then them actually showing up, what the hosting looks like. Do they meet the pastor? Do they go to special lunch afterwards? What's the next step from there? Kind of that whole visitor funnel, I guess, would be it.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, we've done some of that stuff with you guys. I didn't know if it was something else specific, like a specific kind of messenger ad you were running, or if it was some kind of different specific ad.
Okay. Yeah, basically just that overall framework, and that, right, like using the Facebook ministry ads, using Facebook invite ads, using the broadcast, that kind of stuff, basically driving people to plan a visit and kind of go from there.
Got it.
Kevin Barnett, I see your question in chat. Could you clarify what you mean? unmute, Kevin.
So Kevin, your question, advice on good wording for Facebook ads to gain clicks and engagement. So we set up all the ads for you. Are you currently in the Facebook Ministry Ads program, or are you asking about like other types of ads? Okay, other types of ads. Oh, and not in the program. Okay, so this is a coaching call for everyone in the Facebook Ministry Ads program. The short answer is this, right? It varies every single time. If you're creating a Facebook ad, whether you want to figure out what the call to action is, right? Is the call to action to have someone plan a visit? Is to have them show up on Sundays? To have them comment on the ad? Is to have them respond with a prayer request, right? Whatever the call to action is, you basically want to do this, right? It's different every single time. Sometimes it's an event. Sometimes it's a sermon series. Sometimes it's like the Facebook Ministry prayer ads. There's a million different types that you can do. What you want to do is, instead of taking a shotgun approach, the biggest mistake that most churches make is they try to be a church for everybody, right? And what happens is when you have something for everyone, you actually reach no one, right? And what I mean by that is if all of your messaging, whether it's in your Facebook ads or on your website or your Facebook page or your posts or door hangers, postcards, direct mail, any of that stuff. If everything is like, hey, we have something for everyone, right? What happens is that actually doesn't reach anyone, because like no one identifies with that, because no one goes, man, I just need a church that's something for everyone. Oh, perfect. This one does, right? Like you actually have to tell them specific things that you have, and you have to narrow it down. So the best way, instead of taking a shotgun approach, right? Like the something for everyone approach is I like to liken it to like a hunter walking up to a forest with a giant shotgun, right? And just like, blam, 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 firing blindly into the forest, and then saying, man, I hope something good runs into that, right? Like that's kind of what you're doing when you just put out stuff without a specific message. But the sniper approach is when you actually come in and say, okay, let's figure out who we're talking to. Even if it's just a Facebook ad inviting people to church on Sunday, if you write to one specific person, you actually will reach a ton more than that. So say, okay, let's specifically write this ad to a mother, a single mom in her 30s who has 3 kids and is working 2 jobs and is just kind of at her wit's end and just needs help and needs some community, needs some adults to talk to, right? Like what are the things that are keeping her up at night? You figure those things out. Then when you write your ad copy, you're writing to that specific person. I like to even put a name on it, right? So say, okay, we're writing to 33-year-old Jill who has 3 kids. And here's what's keeping her up at night, right? And literally doing that. Then when you write your Facebook ads, it's going to be specifically towards Jill, but it's also going to hit people in their 20s who haven't had kids yet, right? It's also going to reach families. Sometimes we're like, wow, look at this church who's reaching out and helping parents and that kind of stuff, right? But so all of it comes back to just specifically having a very specific message to a specific person, and that's how you reach far more people than if you try to be kind of a something for everyone. So you just want to be very specific in your ad of who you're writing to, and then just talk in plain English. The last thing I'll say is your ads will do way better if they sound like a coffee shop invite than a 12th grade English paper, right? Like you don't need like proper grammar. It's okay to end sentences with a preposition, like do everything they told you not to do in high school English. That's okay, as long as it sounds like people actually talk. Right. So literally you just want it to sound conversational. So if you met someone at a coffee shop, you were inviting them out to whatever it is you're inviting them to, an event, Sunday morning, a sermon series, kickoff, and outreach. You just want it to sound like people actually talk, sound like it would if you were inviting them at a coffee shop, not worrying about proper grammar and sounding professional. Nobody likes that crap. Right. Like not in the real world. So that's the best advice I can give you on kind of how to write the ads themselves. All right, Kevin said that really helps. Thank you. Yep, I'm glad that helped, bro.
Hey, Courtney, I know you jumped on and you have some questions for, I think, Pastor Howard, right?
I don't have any current questions right now. I'm just trying to soak everything in and learn. I still have to review everything and watch everything and kind of get all of that information going. So this is really helpful to just kind of hear other people who have walked that same path. Basically right now I'm at the step-by-step instruction, like, okay, let's get this set up. Let's make sure, like, let's hurry up and let's get these foundational things set up so that we can move forward, because without those there is no moving forward. So just doing the simple tasks. But I will definitely, I know Natalie and I will both probably be reaching out with maybe specific questions. So if you have a preferred forum for reaching out so that we're not bombarding you, because I know that your time is important, just let us know what the best way, what the process is for that, so that we're respecting your time. And then, if it's like weekly, you want weekly questions or, and
so
just however.
2 ways, Courtney. Number one is these calls. Like, it's literally why we do these calls every single week, right? So we're working with, I don't know, somewhere between 250 and 300 churches now.
It's over 300.
And so literally every single day, like, we get emails of like, hey, give me a call real quick. I have some questions, right? And we just can't get them because we'll probably get 30 or 40 of those this week.
Yeah.
So that's why we have these coaching calls, so we can do that and literally just answer questions the whole time. And then the other way is actually emailing Heather@churchgrowthagency.com.
Gotcha. Okay.
We can throw that in the chat or whatever, and that way we just send all the questions to Heather@churchgrowthagency.com, and then we have the coaching calls every week as well.
Perfect.
We usually do these every Wednesday, and normally they're at this time. It's normally 12:30 Central. Caleb, can you also throw the welcome link there as well?
Yeah.
The cheat sheet link.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna put that. We'll put Heather's email in there, and then we're also putting a link. You guys probably got this in your email when you first onboarded. But so it's got a cheat sheet on there as far as like kind of how to handle the prayers when they're coming in, that kind of stuff. But it's got a ton of other valuable information too. It's got a Plan Your Visit boot camp on there. It's got a Hosting Hacks mini class on there for how to host your Plan Your Visits. I just threw a video on there yesterday on how to unsubscribe someone. So we've been getting a lot of questions about people saying like, hey, what if it's someone who's in our church and we don't want them to get the rest of the responses? Or what happens if I start talking to someone and they, just don't want any more of the auto sequences and we don't want them to get any invites? It's super, super easy to unsubscribe them. So I just made a little tutorial video. We put it on there showing you how to unsubscribe that person. Literally takes 10 seconds.
Perfect.
Yep. So we've got on there, and then we've got plenty of other training, how to set up the notifications and kind of what to expect, that type of stuff. And then we're actually working on like an FAQs deal, whatever. Like because we basically get about the same 12 to 15 questions over and over. So we're working on basically just kind of creating like one master list of all those FAQs, and then we'll post that on that page as well here.
Jill wants to know where the video is.
On that churchgrowthagency.com/cheat-sheet. It's posted on there. It literally says how to unsubscribe someone in ManyChat.
Okay, so it's pretty much self-service. There's a lot of great materials and resources that we can just go in as long as we're proactive about searching them out. There's a lot of things that offers support.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
perfect.
what we're working on too, is just getting as many of those support pieces and putting them all in one place. So we're continuing to build out that little site right there with everything that you need.
Awesome. I'll be all caught up by the next phone call next week.
Perfect.
We got to hold her to that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here. Still got about 15 minutes. Anyone else have any questions or anything from the past week, or just something you guys are kind of dealing with, or any cool stories or anything like that as well?
Chris, I have a question. I'm with Mission Community Church, and we just signed up last week with you guys.
Yeah.
And I watched all the videos yesterday, went through all the emails that you guys sent. I just have a question with the Plan Your Visit, and you're sending the notifications out where we respond back within 15 minutes, ideally. Is there a limit that you normally put on that? Like if somebody responds at 11 o'clock at night, are you calling them at 11 o'clock at night, or?
So I say no. So typically, like, I don't respond to anyone like after probably like 9 or 9:30, right? Like every place is different, right? But and anything after like 9 or 9:30, I say just hit them the next day, right? It's cool. Like if someone can't sleep and they're cruising Facebook and they end up, going through the whole process and signing up for Plan Your Visit at 3 o'clock in the morning. Awesome, but don't hit them up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because the auto sequences are going to reach out to them anyway. They just need to hear from a human as quickly as possible. So the next, I'd say 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Whatever. If you start work at 8, do 8. If not 9, do 9. But I mean, you could easily just have a 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. window where you don't respond, and then just respond the next day to everyone that comes in overnight.
Okay. And then also, if it's myself and the pastor who are responding to them, like what, obviously our schedules are tied up. I know you said, in one of the videos, like if you're in a meeting, if you can step out, like, life just happens and things like that. Have you seen like a response rate? Like even if you're replying, an hour or two later because things are happening, you're doing something with the family or whatever. What's that? I mean, do you think the response rate still is there or?
Yeah. So here's what it basically comes down to, right? The whole reason we say 15 minutes, everything is because you like when someone first signs up is when they're like the most excited about visiting the church, right? And they're still thinking about it and they're still kind of in that state. The longer you wait, like the more they cool off, right? Whereas if you contact them a day or two later, they might not even remember what you're talking about, right? Just with as much stuff as we all have going on, that kind of stuff has happened. Now to me, it's a little bit crazy. I don't think I could ever sign up for like a visit that Sunday and like forget, like, who are you talking about? Right. But it does happen. Like we've talked to people where it's like, you literally signed up with your name, email, phone number. That's how we got your phone number, right? People forget about it. So the 15 minutes is a good guideline, but the bottom line, the only reason it really matters is because your show up rates for Plan Your Visit are going to be directly related to whether or not people are having a personal connection with someone from your church before Sunday, right? And so the best chance of them of getting a hold of them and actually having that personal connection is within 15 minutes while they're still excited about what they just signed up for, right? But like if you get to it 2 days later and you can still actually get a hold of them and have a conversation and kind of make that connection, then they're probably still going to show up. But the more time that goes between that, like the harder it's going to be to actually, get them to connect. But that's literally like what it is. It just comes down to a personal connection. And within those first 15 minutes, they're still thinking about it. They're still in that state. And that's the easiest chance you have or best chance you have to actually get a hold of them and have that personal connection.
And when they're planning a visit, are you responding inside a messenger or outside of messenger?
No. So you want to call or text. Right. Like what I always recommend is because you get the notifications on your phone when someone plans a visit. I recommend calling them right away. Most people aren't going to answer a phone call and we know that, but like call, if they answer, great. Now you can have a conversation, just introduce yourself. Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself and get to know you, answer any questions you might have before you get here on Sunday. But if not, just leave a voicemail. That way they hear an actual person who's, hey, what's up? This is, this is Chris from Gut Shirts. I just wanted to reach out and saw that you planned your visit for Sunday. Just want to let you know I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I just want to introduce myself and maybe answer any questions. I know it could be a little bit awkward visiting a church for the first time. Man, just give me a shout back and let me know how I can help. Right. So now they've heard your friendly voice on their voicemail. And then I would just shoot them a text that says basically the same thing. And then they'll respond the way they're most comfortable, right? People who like talking on the phone will call back. People who would rather text will text back. But that way, a phone call or text doesn't matter. It's just another point of contact. If you call them first, leave a voicemail, shoot a text, and then now they've had that chance to kind of know like, oh, there's an actual human on the other side that I've connected with. And now they feel like they have a friend at the church. And that's the main thing, right? The reason people, you have a high no-show rate if you don't have that personal connection, you don't call people, is just because they've been interacting with automated sequences online, but they've never made a personal connection with anyone, right? The reason personal invitation is always going to be the best way to invite someone to church is because now they're going to church with someone they actually know, right? It's just, we forget how awkward it is showing up in a church for the first time, right? Like I've been in church just about every single Sunday since I got saved when I was 13 years old, right? And sometimes it's easy for me to visit churches. I love going on vacation and signing up for Plan Your Visit at the church and showing up. I like connecting with people, but most people aren't like that. And we forget how weird it is when you're like, not only showing up for the first time, but like, also, especially if you don't know Jesus or if you haven't been in church for a really long time, you feel like everyone in there is judging you, even when they're not. No one has no idea what's going on, right? So to have a personal connection with someone that you know is like waiting there, it's like, okay, at least I've got this friend who's happy to see me, who isn't going to judge me. And that's the whole reason you need that personal connection.
That's great. Thank
It
you.
may also help I say this a lot, but since you just signed up, it may help just bear in mind somebody has been praying for them in the background. Most of the time, it's a family member or a friend. And if they found out they're visiting the church, they're probably real excited. You want to give them an experience that they would try to give them. The other is if they've responded to the prayer request by giving you personal information and then plan to visit, they've just become a little bit vulnerable to a church. Yeah. And so you risk by not reaching out pretty quickly, and in all the ways Chris said, chase them down like the prodigal God, as Tim Keller calls him.
Yeah.
Chase them down because they've been vulnerable with you and you risk them feeling a little bit rejected if you don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
This is coming from a guy who has a master's in marriage and family counseling. So when he talks about like psychology stuff and people feel like he knows what he's talking about.
Jill, can I just call you out and ask you, you said you launched next week. What are we could do to change a typical ad for this, or should we? Is that a question we can take?
Yeah, let's see.
Jill, you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
There
what's up,
you
Jill?
are.
Yeah, can you expand on your question a little bit, Jill? I don't totally understand what you mean.
I'm just wondering if right now we've run the How Can We Pray For You ad campaign since the end of November, I think. And we officially have our big launch is next Sunday, not this coming, but the week after. So I'm wondering if, is there any value in us changing this ad up at all to particularly talk about the launch, or should we just keep it as is and then work, through our messaging with that?
Yes, I would do two things. Number one, I would say just send over all the details for the launch. Just send those over to Heather, Heather at churchgrowthagency.com. Just times, locations, details, right? Anything we need to know about that. And then we'll put together, let's do like a custom broadcast probably twice that week, once at the beginning of the week, and then once the day before, inviting everyone out to the launch. The other thing is I wouldn't turn the ads off. Like, I think it's really important to run the prayer ads for a minimum of 90 days straight without stopping. At least 90 days. We have churches that have been running for 6, 7, 8 months now and are still crushing it, right? Getting planer visits and prayer requests. And it takes a while, right? Before, like, there's a tipping point eventually. Like, I think Aaron was talking about it at the beginning, where eventually you get to this point where you begin walking in the harvest of the seeds that you've been planting, right? And that just takes a while to kind of get out there. We'll have churches will call us up and just say, hey, we had somebody come to church this Sunday who said, hey, you prayed for me 4 months ago and I told you I was coming, but I never showed up. Man, God's been working on my heart. I'm finally here, right? It's like, oh man, like we've had that happen a ton of times. So I wouldn't turn the ads off, but I would say
Maybe supplement.
Yeah. Let's look at running like some ads to complement that are just straight up like launch invite ads, just inviting people to the launch, and maybe like launch those like Monday of next week or something like that. So.
Should I change the way the bot replies at all then? Like,
No.
should I specifically say, hey, yeah, we hope to see you tomorrow. This is what we've got going, or?
No, I'd keep everything in the sequences the same. But we'll use broadcast to invite everybody, to tell everybody. So everyone that's been answering is going to get invited. And then we'll launch another ad that will just specifically get the word out and invite people.
Okay, so if I send that, because I was rewatching the video this morning, the training thing that you send out when we first sign up or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out the whole sending the message to everyone who's subscribed to your list thing. So you're saying that Heather will do that if I get her that information?
Yeah. Because we're still building all of your ads out for like the next 12 months. So we'll knock out the broadcast for you too.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right, cool. Let's see. Dave said, "Thank you guys. The results were amazing from the prayer ads. That's awesome. Thanks, Dave." I know Dave. I can't. I know you. See if you can hear me. I'd love to hear some of your results, because I remember you sent us some that were talking about. It was like 20 visitors in the first 20 days, or 20 members in the first 20 days, or something like that. Does that sound right? I don't know if Dave can hear us here.
Dave, you there? Yeah. We're playing mute tag.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, man?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Well, basically, let me just say this. Our church started with 15 people. Our church is now up to about 60 persons, and I'm talking about regularly attendees. We had a baptism this December, which was very cool, of about 20 persons. So we're doing very, very well now. Even now we have stopped the ad temporarily because we were somewhat overwhelmed, because we expected maybe about 30 persons, but we are up to now 60 people, and so we stop it temporarily. We can put some things in place and get better acquainted with most of the people that just started to attend. And even now, I'm sure that, Chrissy, you can check and you can see that there's still people visiting, there's still people coming even without us running the ad. So I just want to advise anyone that is thinking about this to definitely, it's a good step in the right direction. So I just want to encourage you to take this step and move forward with it. Definitely.
Man, that's awesome, Dave. Thanks for sharing. 15 to 60, bro. That's all about and how long? When did you start running the ads?
We started the ad probably I think it was August.
Okay.
And we ended, yes, we started in August. Yes, for 3 months. We did it for 3 months.
Awesome. Awesome.
Hey,
All right.
Lydell has a question. You want to get to that real quick?
yeah.
And
Let's-
then this will have to be the last one, I think.
Yeah, we got about 3 minutes left. Lydell, is there a way to turn off the auto responses for the people on Saturday who have already responded to the past 2 weeks? Okay, so if I understand your question right, Lydell, so if there's someone that you're looking to turn off the auto responses to like completely forever, you can unsubscribe them, which is the video that I just put on the on that page, churchgrowthagency.com/cheat-sheet. That's on there. It's also in the chat. There's a video on there if you want to unsubscribe them completely. If you're worried about the Saturday invites, they won't get them every single Saturday. They only get them the first Saturday after they have after they've been invited. So if they send their prayer request on like a Tuesday, right, and they don't end up planning their visit, then that Saturday it's gonna invite them to church the next morning. But it's only going to do that the first week. We did that just to make sure that we are staying within all of Facebook's guidelines, right? Because if you're hitting them up every single Saturday, then Facebook's going to say, hey, wait a second, they didn't sign up for weekly follow-ups from you. So it's just that first Saturday. So after that first Saturday, you don't have to worry about them getting invited every single Saturday. It's just the first week. All right, rock and roll. So we're planning. We're actually gonna be at a conference next week in Nashville. So we won't do this next Wednesday. But if you guys have questions in the meantime, we'll be doing it the following Wednesday. And then if you guys have any questions in the meantime, just email Heather@churchgrowthagency.com. We've been growing like crazy, and so we're pedaling as fast as we can, trying to keep up. And so we're getting back to you, but we'll always get back to you within 24 to 48 hours if you just send that email over to Heather.
Man, I'm trying to keep up, guys. If you've reached out to me and I haven't reached out back, I'm really sorry. I'm trying.
So yeah, and